Blue White Weekly, a weekly look inside Georgia Southern athletics. Presented by Domino's, the world leader in pizza delivery. Optum Healthcare, they get you back to you. International Diamond Center, better selection and value guaranteed. Ford and your neighborhood Ford dealers, the best rise to the top in a smart and fuel-efficient Ford. Georgia Power, a Southern company.
Welcome into this week's edition of Blue White Weekly, your weekly look at Georgia Southern athletics. Colin Lacey alongside Danny Waugh. A tough weekend for Georgia Southern football down in Louisiana as they fall to the ULM Warhawks 44-25 at Malone Stadium in Monroe. And Danny, not the way you wanted to get it started, but still a lot ahead for Georgia Southern football.
Yeah, the first half, the Eagles couldn't really get things going in that game. They lose their first Sun Belt Conference game of the year. They fall to 7-2 this season. And now they have a lot to look into this Saturday against Troy because they control their own destiny on who represents the Eastern Division in the Sun Belt Conference Championship.
We'll dive deeper into that Troy matchup a little bit later on this week's edition of Blue White Weekly. But first things first, Georgia Southern basketball gets it going this week as Georgia Southern women's basketball starts it off Tuesday, November 6th against the Wofford Terriers. The former SoCon mate comes into Hanner Fieldhouse, 6:30 tip-off from Hanner, and then Georgia Southern men's basketball will follow up on Wednesday against Carver College, 7 o'clock tip-off for head coach Mark Byington and company. When you look at Georgia Southern women's basketball, though, head coach Kip Drown in his fourth season, a lot returning from last year's squad.
Well, still a very young team. Even last year as well, you saw the grit of this young team in the conference quarterfinal matchup against Louisiana. That game was a triple overtime loss, and you saw how those girls were able to produce and work together. And you're going to see that a lot this season with Alexis Brown, Nicole Franks, Haley Diaz-Allen, Amira Atwater, and Elisha Owens coming off the bench. And not forget Sarah Moore as well, who produced really well midway through the season. They're going to be able to get things done this year.
You mentioned the new faces. You'll see Elisha Owens coming off the bench after redshirting last year with a knee injury. You also have four freshmen, Lola Lovett, Jordan Strange, Subasa Nesbitt, and also Ella Felkins.
There's a lot of talk about Jordan Strange coming in this year, a freshman, and she's going to produce great minutes off the bench. And you can't forget Tatum Barber as well, who was on the team last year. She put on some valuable minutes for the Eagles as well.
You switch the page for Georgia Southern men's basketball for head coach Mark Byington. A lot returning. Finally a senior class for head coach Mark Byington with Tukey Brown and Ike Smith.
Yeah, Tukey Brown, Ike Smith, and not forget Monte Glenn as well. They're all four-year players for Georgia Southern men's basketball, and you also have a great group of freshmen, even some JUCO transfers. You have Trey Dawkins and Isaiah Crawley, and you can't forget about the transfer from Iowa State and Simeon Carter.
Simeon Carter last year redshirting for Georgia Southern men's basketball after the transfer rules. He will be a lot of energy off the bench. You saw him at the end of the bench for home games last year. A lot of energy from Sim, and also a couple of freshmen. You mentioned Isaiah Crawley, the transfer, and a number of freshmen as well. Will Dillard comes to mind for them.
And don't forget David Vitti and Elijah McCaden. McCaden's 6'4", has a long wingspan. There's also one more freshman, a redshirt freshman, a true center for the basketball team this year. 7'1", Tyshawn Crawford will produce some valuable minutes off the bench and will do a lot in the interior for Georgia Southern on defense.
Once again, Georgia Southern women's basketball opens up Tuesday, November 6th against the Wofford Terriers at 6:30. Men will follow on Wednesday at 7 o'clock against Carver College. More to come on this week's edition of Blue White Weekly. When we return, we'll dive deeper into the highlights for Georgia Southern football.
There are a lot of simple things you can do to improve the efficiency of your place. Georgia Power can help with energy-saving tips on everything from controlling airflow to lighting and more. We are committed to helping you make your home more energy efficient. Find tools and resources to help you save money and energy at georgiapower.com/save.
A sports injury can stop you in your tracks. At Optum Orthopedics, our specialized physicians and staff use advanced orthopedic procedures with one specific goal in mind: to get you back to you. If you have a sports injury, request an evaluation. Experience the Optum difference.
Where Zaxby's is from. Some like it classic. Some like it saucy. For others, it's gotta be crispy. But everyone loves the flavor that brings us together. And whether you like it spicy or old school, you'll like it even more. Because Zaxby's 5 fan favorites are now just $5.99 each. Friends, family, flavor. Zaxby's.
The Learfield Directors Cup, the highly recognized mark of distinction in college athletics across all divisions, both men's and women's sports. Follow your favorite team's pursuit for excellence in this prestigious annual award through thedirectorscup.com, USA Today, or at L Directors Cup on Twitter or Facebook. Learfield Directors Cup, the crowning achievement in college athletics since 1993.
You have a new job now, right?
I do. It's
Yeah.
a busy place.
Whenever you're ready.
It happens every time.
I've got it.
And every time,
Always do this.
she wins.
It's on me.
All right.
But you have the BB&T app with
Who are you
Zelle
texting?
Oh, no one. I really should go back.
and
you.
can pay the bill before she even leaves the restaurant.
Beth?
Ah, the taste of victory. BB&T. All we see is you.
Blue White Weekly, a weekly look inside Georgia Southern athletics. Presented by Optum Healthcare. They get you back to you. Georgia Power, a Southern company.
Welcome back once again into this week's edition of Blue White Weekly, your weekly look at Georgia Southern athletics. Again, a tough weekend for Georgia Southern football, falling 44-25 to the ULM Warhawks at Malone Stadium in Monroe, and we take a look at those highlights now. Once again, it's Georgia Southern and ULM from Malone Stadium in Monroe, Louisiana. We pick it up early in the first quarter as ULM knocking on the door of the Georgia Southern end zone. Caleb Evans would take it in from 5 yards out and give ULM a 6-0 lead. Georgia Southern would block the extra point and keep it at a 6-0 advantage for the Warhawks. After Georgia Southern misses on a field goal attempt, ULM would march down the field one play. It's an 80-yard hookup from Caleb Evans to the receiver Marcus Green. Once again, 80 yards for the score and makes it 13-0 in favor of ULM. On into the second quarter, another big pass play from Caleb Evans. This one hooking up with Marcus Green once again. This one from 69 yards out for the score and gives ULM a 20-0 lead. Georgia Southern cuts into the scoring just under 6 minutes in the second quarter to go, as Tyler Bass would knock the ball through from 38 yards out, his first field goal of the ball game, and makes it a 20-3 lead for ULM. Time winding down in the second quarter. Caleb Evans would drop back to pass as Kendrick Duncan would pick it off, returns it 20 yards to the ULM 37 after an unsportsmanlike penalty by ULM. It gets Georgia Southern down to the 22-yard line, and Georgia Southern takes advantage of it as Shai Wertz hooks up with Mark Mashad. His first career touchdown is a 22-yard hookup and cuts into the ULM lead with just over a minute to go. 27-10, the ULM lead at the half. Into the third quarter, ULM continues driving as Derek Gore would take it in from 1 yard out. It would increase the Warhawk lead to 34-10 with 8.5 minutes to play in the third quarter. Just over 3 minutes to go in the third as Caleb Evans once again is intercepted. This time Jesse Liptrot. He returns it 57 yards to the house. A pick six for Georgia Southern. Cuts into the ULM lead 34-18 on Liptrot's first interception of the year, second of his career. And again, 34-18 the ULM lead. ULM would answer back though as Caleb Evans would take it in from 2 yards out on the ground and extends the Warhawk lead at 41-18. Into the fourth quarter as Georgia Southern would force a 3-and-out by ULM. Jared Porter's punt would be blocked by Najee Thompson. Ben's Hostway would pounce on it, take it into the end zone. Final score 44-25. ULM gets the victory over Georgia Southern. Once again, 44-25, the victory for ULM over Georgia Southern at Malone Stadium in Monroe, Louisiana, as Georgia Southern looks ahead to the Troy Trojans coming in this weekend. On the other side of the break, we step into a special edition of Coach's Corner with all the additions around the facilities for Georgia Southern athletics. We sit down with Senior Associate Athletic Director Tracy Ham.
What is acquire? Acquire is a part of life. It's when you buy a car, a new home, or a fun family vacation. You acquire the things that make living better, like a great education, a beautiful wedding for your daughter, or even a piano for the grandchildren. We are the Q in Acquire, Queensboro, and we're in the business of lending for the joys of living. So when you're ready to acquire, call Q, Queensboro National Bank and Trust.
It's time to pack your bags because Savannah Hilton Head International offers nonstop flights to a variety of major cities, including Nashville, Chicago, Toronto, Canada, Philadelphia, and many more. 8 airlines, 26 nonstop destinations. Savannah Hilton Head International. Visit flysav.com.
Domino's delivery drivers are experts at handling bad roads. But those roads shouldn't ruin your pizza when you carry out. So we're doing something about them, starting with this one. If your drive home is rough on pizza, tell us at pavingforpizza.com so we can fix roads across the country. Then carry out large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each.
Okay, look, if you're not the lead dog, the scenery never changes. That's why this is the view for every other full-size pickup. And this year, it's deja vu all over again. Because only the Ford F-150 with its high-strength, military-grade aluminum alloy body gives you best-in-class torque, best-in-class payload, and you got it, baby, best-in-class towing. Still leading the pack. This is the big dog. This is the Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, pal. It is the bar.
Blue White Weekly, a weekly look inside Georgia Southern athletics. Presented by International Diamond Center. Better selection and value guaranteed. Presented by Ford and your Georgia neighborhood Ford dealers. Ford, go further.
Welcome into another edition of Coach's Corner presented by Ford and your Georgia neighborhood Ford dealers here on Blue White Weekly, your weekly look at Georgia Southern athletics. So we step into Hanner Fieldhouse as we're sitting down with Senior Associate Athletic Director Tracy Ham. Basketball season about to get started up this week, and when you look at Hanner Fieldhouse, a couple of new additions. You've got the ribbon boards and the new table as well.
Yes, it is basketball season, and it was evident by the crowd the other night. Just for an exhibition game, I thought we had an excellent crowd for an exhibition game in the middle of the week. We have done some renovations here. We've added those the 2 scoreboards on the end boards, video boards on the end, and we also added the bowl, added another scoring table in the bowl. So what we really was trying to do was get an experience throughout the bowl, lower bowl area that you can get video within that.
When you look at Hanner Fieldhouse, Coach Byington has said it since he got here. It's one of the most difficult places in the conference to play. Adding those additions, what does that do to Hanner Fieldhouse?
Everybody love it on game day, but nobody likes it during the week. So I tell you what, anytime you talk about your facility, really you talk about the core of your program. You want to have a facility that guys can prepare, and ladies, whether it's volleyball, women's basketball, or men's basketball, the preparation, you want them to be able to come in here and prepare for a practice, again, getting ready for the games. You want them to get as many shots as they can get up during the week. So you want it easy accessible for your student athletes, and upgrades really help us identify areas that need some changes need to be made. It's an older building. It really is a great game day building when you talk about the crowd, the atmosphere, the close proximity of the fans to the players to the floor, which create a great experience for our student athletes and doing a basketball or volleyball event.
We talked about the additions to Hanner. What's next on the horizon for Georgia Southern?
Well, we go back through the cycle, right? Softball and baseball, kind of our, spring sports. And we'll come back around and start looking at Paulson, some things that we need to do. We need to do something to the parking lot. We recognize that we have some areas in Paulson that need some upgrading. Eventually, we'd like to get a new press box at Paulson. I know you shook your head on that one. You would really love that one, right? But there's some continuation of upgrading. Even here in the lobby, we've already got plans to expand this lobby area out and put a new lobby area to get it to, I think it's another 6,000 square foot right here in the lobby.
Finally, before we let you go, you're the sport oversight for both men's and women's basketball. What does that entail, and how much hands-on activities do you have with those teams?
Well, they try to keep my hands off of it. But really, as a sports supervisor, you're just kind of in between the coach and bringing the issues to the table in senior staff meetings. You want to make sure that they have everything they need, and also if anything comes about that from an administrative standpoint, we'll help out there. But really, as a sports supervisor, we have nothing to do with the playing time of a student athlete. We have nothing to do with whether the coach played Jim, Jack, Sally, Susan. we just simply support staff for our coaches, and we are a go-between us and the AD. And if it's any issues, then they come through the sports supervisor.
Tracy, appreciate your time, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Colin.
Once again, that's Senior Associate Athletic Director Tracy Ham as we get set for Georgia Southern men's and women's basketball starting this week. On the other side of the break, we'll take a deeper dive into Georgia Southern athletics when we return.
There are a lot of simple things you can do to improve the efficiency of your place. Georgia Power can help with energy-saving tips on everything from controlling airflow to lighting and more. We are committed to helping you make your home more energy efficient. Find tools and resources to help you save money and energy at georgiapower.com/save.
Wow, look at Jim go. Man, that guy works hard. Courtside seats.
Multitasking isn't for the faint of heart.
I'm in.
It takes experience, skill.
Hey babe, do you have my credit card? I can't find it.
Nope, I haven't seen it.
I'll keep looking.
And a bank that helps you take care of business from anywhere.
You know, we could use more guys like Jim around here.
BB&T. All we see is you.
It's time to pack your bags because Savannah Hilton Head International offers nonstop flights to a variety of major cities, including Nashville, Chicago, Toronto, Canada, Philadelphia, and many more. 8 airlines, 26 nonstop destinations. Savannah Hilton Head International. Visit flysav.com.
Domino's delivery drivers are experts at handling bad roads. But those roads shouldn't ruin your pizza when you carry out. So we're doing something about them, starting with this one. If your drive home is rough on pizza, tell us at pavingforpizza.com so we can fix roads across the country. Then carry out large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each.
Blue White Weekly, a weekly look inside Georgia Southern athletics. Presented by Domino's, the world leader in pizza delivery.
Welcome back into this week's edition of Blue White Weekly, your weekly look at Georgia Southern athletics. Georgia Southern football, a heck of a turnaround this year to go 7-2 so far in the season, and a big credit to that is head coach Chad Lunsford.
Yeah, that's right, Colin. Last year at this time, Georgia Southern was 0-9, and this year they're 7-2, bowl eligible. It's been a remarkable season so far for Chad Lunsford.
Now we take a dive deeper into the story behind head coach Chad Lunsford.
My football story is fairly unique, I think. Started out, as a student assistant at Georgia Military College in Milledgeville, Georgia, junior college. Toting the equipment, toting the water, filming practices, doing anything I could to get into college coaching. And as it went along, I ended up getting more responsibilities, became the running backs coach at Georgia Military College. And my last couple years at Georgia Military, I became the linebackers coach. And then from there, I came to Georgia Southern. I was a slot backs coach at Georgia Southern from 03 to 06, and I had the opportunity to learn a lot about Georgia Southern and the traditions here and what made the place special. Been a little bit of a journey, and had great experiences everywhere I'd been, and just worked under a lot of different head coaches and paid a lot of attention to each one of them. Came back to Georgia Southern in 2013. Came back with Coach Jeff Monken, was the wide receivers coach, recruiting coordinator. And, my ultimate goal, I wanted to become a head coach. Did not, ever dream that it would be Georgia Southern. Very excited that that's my opportunity. The story of Georgia Southern football is epic. I thought I knew, when I was here the first time. But as a head coach, I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of different people, and especially the ones that helped start this program. And then the other piece to it, I think it makes it special. Out of all the places I've been, it's the players. It's the former players. It's the current players. How much they buy into the tradition, how much they buy into the legacy, how much they put it on themselves to leave the place better than what they found it. The guys like to call it the brotherhood here, and there's no doubt about it. It's a really tight knit group. All these guys have a bond, That's what really makes this place special. The community feels like that they're a part of it, and that's something that I would never ever want to change here. I want everybody to feel like they're a part of this program. Well, obviously the city and the community has grown because Georgia Southern has grown. I just want the guys that we have here now, the guys that we end up recruiting, I want them to understand how special Georgia Southern is, and then I want them to have a part of that specialness and, you know, leave their own legacy here and be successful and just be a part of something epic.
On the other side of the break, we catch up with head coach Chad Lunsford just moments after the ULM game.
As you soar above Statesboro, the landscape is changing. There's a rich heritage here. There's something new rising in downtown. Help us expand the legacy of downtown. For business opportunities, visit westdistrictstatesboro.com.
What is Acquire? Acquire is a part of life. It's when you buy a car, a new home, or a fun family vacation. You acquire the things that make living better, like a great education, a beautiful wedding for your daughter, or even a piano for the grandchildren. We are the Q in Acquire, Queensboro, and we're in the business of lending for the joys of living. So when you're ready to acquire, call Q, Queensboro National Bank and Trust.
Where Zaxby's is from. Some like it classic. Some like it saucy. For others, it's gotta be crispy. But everyone loves the flavor that brings us together. And whether you like it spicy or old school, you'll like it even more. Because Zaxby's 5 fan favorites are now just $5.99 each. Friends, family, flavor. Zaxby's.
We are world changers. We learn by doing, and our training prepares us for direct impact in our field. We are scholars. Even as undergrads, we work alongside our faculty to solve challenges facing our region, our state, and our world. We are leaders, experts, working with business and government partners for economic growth. This is Georgia Southern University, and we are the Eagle Nation.
Domino's delivery drivers are experts at handling bad roads. But those roads shouldn't ruin your pizza when you carry out. So we're doing something about them, starting with this one. If your drive home is rough on pizza, tell us at pavingforpizza.com so we can fix roads across the country. Then carry out large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each.
Blue White Weekly, a weekly look inside Georgia Southern athletics. Presented by International Diamond Center, better selection and value guaranteed. Presented by Ford and your Georgia neighborhood Ford dealers. Ford, go further.
Welcome back into this week's edition of Blue White Weekly, your weekly look at Georgia Southern athletics. Again, a tough game for Georgia Southern football against ULM, 44-25, the Warhawk victory. Russ Brown of the Georgia Southern Sports Network caught up with head coach Chad Lunsford just moments after the game.
Tough day today. What did you say to the team after the game?
Well, first off, we got to give credit to Louisiana Monroe. Tremendous job by their coaching staff, tremendous job by their players. We said all week that ULM would bring their game because, I mean, shoot, they've really come into their own lately. So got to give a lot of credit to them and their coaching staff and just that awesome job. But I told the team, I said, hey, it sucks. We don't go put all this hard work in to lose. We got served some humble pie today, and that starts with me. I told them, from the top down, I've got to take responsibility for this thing. Our coaches got to take responsibility for it, and then our players. So we all got to be able to point the finger at ourselves and go, hey, what are we going to do to get this thing right? It was great. We were, 7-1, and then you go in there and you don't do well, and you get that loss, and it smacks you right in the face, and it tells you, hey, we got to go back to work, and we got to make sure that we're on point, and we got to go finish this season out the way we want to.
Was there anything they did schematically? Was it self-inflicted? Was it a little bit of both? Anything in particular that stuck out to you today that went wrong?
Well, I think they did a really good job, having that off week. I think they did a really good job of, I think they built on what they already had, offense and defense. And, we could have played a better football game, but, again, hats off to them. I think they did a really good job.
Well, obviously, with Troy coming in next week, despite the loss today, still in control of their own destiny in the East. That's got to be the focus this week, right?
Well, there's no question. That was part of what I told the team a while ago. I said, we hate to lose. We don't want to lose, but we did. But we can't let that affect us for the next one. We're still one game a week. That's what we've been from the start, and no reason for that to change now. We do control our own destiny, so we got to get ready for Troy.
What's your message to the Eagle Nation ahead of that game?
Just love for y'all to come on out, support us. Obviously, the power of Paulson is real. We saw that this whole year, and I just would love to see that thing packed out, so that we can feel that energy and feel that power.
Coach, thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Once again, that's Russ Brown of the Georgia Southern Sports Network catching up with head coach Chad Lunsford just moments after the game at Malone Stadium in Monroe, Louisiana. Next things next, though, Danny, Georgia Southern will face the Trojans of Troy here at Allen E. Paulson Stadium, a big game on Saturday afternoon. And you win this game, you're still in the driver's seat in the Sun Belt Eastern Division.
Yeah, you lead that Eastern Division and also having the possibility of hosting the first ever Sun Belt Conference Championship on December 1st.
Speaking of Sun Belt Conference postseason, Georgia Southern men's soccer, the second seed in the Sun Belt Conference tournament, hosted right here in Statesboro.
Yeah, a big week for Georgia Southern men's soccer as they are in the semifinal match against Appalachian State. And if you watched last week's show, you saw that Georgia Southern defeated Appalachian State 1-0 in thrilling fashion. Looking for another exciting game, and hopefully they can make it to the championship that Sunday afternoon.
A couple of the other sports wrapping up their seasons as volleyball will finish up the regular season this week.
That's right. Volleyball will have senior night on Friday as they take on their in-state rival, the Georgia State Panthers. And also, while one season ends, another season begins. As we talked about in the top of the broadcast, we have women's basketball taking on Wofford on Tuesday, men's basketball taking on Carver College on Wednesday.
Once again, a lot of action around Georgia Southern athletics. A great time to be a Georgia Southern Eagle. As again, Georgia Southern and Troy, Saturday, a 1 o'clock kickoff against the Trojans and Eagles. Georgia Southern women's basketball will tip it off 6:30 against the Wofford Terriers on Tuesday, November 6th in Hanner Fieldhouse. And then Georgia Southern men's basketball on Wednesday, November 7th, a 7 o'clock tip-off against Carver College. That'll wrap up this week's edition of Blue White Weekly, your weekly look inside Georgia Southern athletics. For everyone at the Multimedia Development Center and Danny Watt, this is Colin Lacey saying so long, everybody.